Anyway, like I said, chicken tenders are better than just about every other food possible, and I will die on that hill. But before we talk about that, we do need to talk about today's topic, which is, well, Richard Dawkins posted this one with very little context over on Twitter, and he's been such a bastion of knowledge lately.
Hi.
So, Windjander, thank you for subscribing. The topic is, should misgendering be illegal? Now, I'm going to go ahead and go on record to say that there are situations where I believe that harassment should be illegal, like always, but let's see what the actual point that is made is here. Again, Richard Dawkins posted this one, so I'm sure everything that's said here is going to be amazing and 110% fair. Probably. Anyway, let's get to the fan art section first. This one is from the Shadow Wolf. The Coins have made a coin tank with nose cannons that they call snot rockets and imbued with the power of Timer-kun. Well, even when I'm not in a subathon, I guess I can't escape Timer-kun. And the Netcoin, I don't get to escape the Netcoin either. And that one I don't understand why I can't escape. Like, even Salem made a whole ass webtoon dedicated to showing me failing in my fight with frickin' Netcoins. Anyway, thank you, Shadow Wolf, for your submission. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, drop it into the Discord itself. With that said, let's go ahead and take a look at this video here on should misgendering be a crime? And let's take a listen to what's being said. And again, I'm sure everything here is going to be 100% good faith.
Should misgendering someone be a crime? The UK's Labour Party seems to think so. Under a Labour government, deliberately calling someone by the incorrect gender pronouns could become a hate crime, punishable by imprisonment, according to the Mail on Sunday.
According to the Mail on Sunday. So, are we talking Daily Mail? Are we talking that? But, okay. So, is this basically a guy reporting on reporting? Is that what's happening? Let's go ahead and look at the tweet real quick. Let's go ahead and look at what was said there and see if maybe there's anything else that we can look at real quick. And then, of course, there's nothing else to look at. It's just Richard Dawkins posting it. Nothing else. And then people going, hats off to Dawkins. Even though he is an atheist, he still stands with the truth. When somebody begins with even though you're an atheist, you know you're probably in the wrong crowd already. Just there as well. Anywho. Then we have this lovely quote here from Sinesto. I have supported India Wallaby for years, and she blocked me over the weekend, and it's pissed me off. I'm now starting to understand J.K. Rowling's viewpoint. I was okay with the transes until I was blocked by one of them. I now favor genocide. Jesus Christ. The absolute IQ level. The absolute IQ level required to make a post like that. You can't criminalize telling the truth, no matter how difficult it may be. Yeah, you're right. You can't criminalize me for saying that Chrono Trigger is the greatest RPG of our time and it will never be topped by anything else. Good luck trying. But that's a different kind of truth. That's a different layer of the truth than what we're talking about here. So, how's it going, Matt Rock? How you doing? Let's take a listen to here. Oh, that's the first non-regular chatting over on Twitter, because apparently I can stream over on Twitter now. That's a thing I'm going to try to use. Let's take a look here.
And with Labour streets ahead of the UK's embattled Tory government in the polls, this could soon come to fruition. Labour, the Mail on Sunday reports, wants to make hatred on the basis of, quote, gender identity, unquote, what's called an aggravated offence. This would...
Okay, so I have a question. Does he bring up the article itself? It doesn't look like it. So let's see if we can find that. Labor on misgendering. Let's take a look and see if that is what's happening here. Labor on misgendering UK. Mail on Sunday. It's just the Daily Mail. It's just the Daily Mail. Okay. That's a good one. That's a great one. No media bias there. No right-wing bias from Daily Mail ever.
Bring transphobic abuse into line with assault and harassment motivated by hatred on the grounds of race or religion.
All right, so let's go ahead and quickly nip this one in the bud. So, is misgendering about hatred? Kind of, sort of. Not exactly. It's mostly about arrogance. It is mostly about arrogance. It is the arrogance that you as an individual know more about somebody else's identity than they do. And that can bleed into hatred. I mean, after all, what is white supremacy but arrogance about one's race that ends up creating hatred for other races? That's all that is. However, when we use the words like hatred, it's very, very loaded, especially in Christian circles, where hatred is almost always considered the idea that you want something to burn in hell, that something is hated to the point where it must be abolished. So, when I hear hatred, the thought that comes into my head automatically is, you know, the random white guy at the bar who says that he doesn't hate black people, right? Doesn't have problems with black people, but he wouldn't want his daughter dating a black man. And you sit there trying to square those particular angles together, and they don't quite make anything coherent or cogent, but you sit there and try for a little bit, right? You're trying really, really hard to make that one make sense, but again, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. Oh, I don't have a problem with them. I just don't want to be in a bathroom with them. I don't have a problem with them. I just don't want my children dating them. I don't have a problem with them. I just don't want to see it on the street. Like, that kind of rhetoric, that kind of thought process, it's a huge one here in the South. I remember when I was I was a manager at McDonald's, and my store manager said something about gay people that confused the hell out of me. It was as I was, I was moving away from my Christian roots, and I was no longer as fundamentalist as I was. And it was maybe like 6, 7 months before I started actually working on YouTube channel stuff. Like, I had moved significantly further in my politics by this point, though I was still kind of a douche nozzle. But even at that point, when my manager said, I don't have a problem with gay people, I'm not homophobic, but I don't want to see that stuff out in the open, and I don't want my kids seeing that. And by that stuff, because I pushed him on this one, he said, he doesn't want to see men kissing. Like, he doesn't want to see men kissing or men holding hands. That's what it basically was. And then I said, like, hey, that's no different than saying that you don't want your kid dating a white woman. Like, that would be discriminatory. That would be a little bad. That would be, a little racist, a little not great. And he's like, no, that's different. And that was that was a video that I made on my channel, like maybe third or fourth video I made on the entire thing was on this interaction with my manager. And so it was more recent in my mind then. So if you want the specifics, that is, again, a very, very old video on my channel back in the PNG days. But while I was while I'm reflecting back on that conversation, I'm hearing the same things as now when somebody says, I don't hate somebody, I just want them to live a lesser life. I just want them to live a life that is less convenient, less good, less happy, less free. I don't hate them, but I want their life to be not as good as it could be. And I certainly want them to do it in a way that I don't have to see it. But I don't hate them. That's usually what it comes down to, is somebody tries to pull the I don't hate them thing. But let's be honest, it's very hard to square that circle. It's very hard to say that your position isn't motivated by hatred if the ultimate end-all of your position is that you want somebody to live a lesser life than you. I think when we say that it must be hatred that motivates this thing, we end up diminishing the ways in which people interact with each other. Because people interact on levels that are, on more of a spectrum than love it or hate it and it should burn in hell. we interact on a lot of levels, and there's a lot of negative levels between hatred and, you know, just simply not caring. There's a lot of levels of negativity between those. So somebody can be homophobic for any of the reasons, up to and including hating gay people, all the way down to, I just don't think they should have the same legal benefits as I do since I can have a kid, which is a stupid one. And I had that argument with a content creator 5 years ago, who I will not name, because I have no reason to stir those particular flames. But there are friends of mine who were there for that particular engagement and probably remember that argument. So when somebody says that, oh, they want to put misgendering in the same area of like racially motivated hatred, it feels like it's trying to blow up the idea way past its function point, if that makes sense. You can be racist without, quote, hating black people. You can be homophobic without, quote, hating gay people. Because there's a lot of levels of negativity between one and the other. I don't have to say you're racist because you're wearing a KKK hood. That one's self-evident. I can say you're racist just because you kind of side-eyed the black kid as he was walking near you and you clutched your wallet a little more. Like, why did you do that? Why was that a thing you did? What are you concerned about? What do you think he's going to do? So I'm going to continue the video here, but I wanted to clarify that you can be homophobic without the, quote, hatred. You can be racist without the, quote, hatred. You can be transphobic without the, quote, hatred. All it requires, in my eyes, is you deliberately looking at that person and saying, I want you to live a life that is lesser than me, or I want you to live a life that is away from me, which means necessarily I want my space to be one clean of you. If that is the position you hold, then that is transphobic, racist, homophobic, whatever phobia you want to put, social phobia you want to put in there, that's what that is as far as I'm concerned.
Which are punishable by up to 2 years in prison. Now, you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who is in favour of hate who thinks we desperately need more of it, but there are still plenty of reasons why criminalising hate in this way is a terrible idea that is bound to have all kinds of dreadful consequences.
All right, so let's go ahead and say real quick, it actually already is a punishable offense in the United Kingdom to engage in harassment, like verbal harassment, which means that you repeat something to the point well past uncomfortability. So when people talk about banning misgendering, it is almost always, like from top to bottom, it is almost always some form of trying to ban the repeated harassment. It's not looking on the street and seeing a girl who looks maybe a little more butch than you're used to seeing and then just going, oh, hey, dude. And then she like turns to you in a almost in like a horror movie way. And then you see like the Exorcist vomit go on the ground like, what did you call me? Like, that's not what happens, right? Like, that's generally not a thing that happens in reality, okay? But there are people who try to pretend that that is the case. So YouTube is only non-functional chat. Twitch gives you more ads and content. So fun. Yeah, it's wonderful. It's great. So if you misgender somebody randomly on the street, I don't think anybody's trying to make that a punishable offense, like a criminal punishable offense. And if they were, then you would put the actual, like, verbiage of the document where they're pushing for that up so that we could read it, verify it, and understand that, yes, this is something we need to worry about. But the reality is that that's probably not what's happening, right? Not generally speaking. But let's take a look here.
Not least because what is often referred to as hate by politicians these days is often nothing of the sort. There are concerns that under Labour's proposals, refusing to use the name and pronoun that a trans person has chosen for themselves could constitute harassment or other crimes.
Usually it has to be repeated. Like, you need to bring up the document, which again, it doesn't look like you do anywhere here. You need to bring up the actual proposal so we can look at it. Because again, I'm going to go out on a limb and say probably not. Like, hell, I've got a post from the Daily Mail over here. And this is an old one, but let's take a look here real quick. Deliberately calling someone by the wrong gender pronouns may land you in jail for up to 2 years. Okay, cool. So can we please turn on ad blocking for this site? Fucking ads. Anywho, please allow ads? No, we're not allowing ads on your bullshit site. Oh, did they find a way? Did they finally find a way to stop me from doing my thing that I used to do all the time? Oh, no. Hitting the X button in the middle of loading still wins. Not letting your ads through. Shut the fuck up. Deliberately calling somebody the wrong gender pronouns could become a hate crime punishable by imprisonment under a labor government. The Mail on Sunday can reveal? Can reveal. What the balls does that mean? What the balls? Right-click, expect element, and delete. Yeah, I'm not looking through all that shit. I can just hit an X button. Keyword deliberate. Yeah, again, keyword deliberate. Vowing to toughen up the sentencing guidelines for abusive and violence targeted at trans people. Labor would make attacks motivated by hatred of the victim's gender identity into aggravated offenses. This would bring transphobic abuse in line with assault and harassment. Okay, but repeatedly misgendering somebody, repeatedly calling them the wrong name, like, that is harassment. Like, why are you repeatedly using the things to describe them that they have told you not to use, if not for purpose of harassing? Like, what? And if you're like, nah, I'm just trying to tell them the truth. No, the fuck you're not. You're trying to harass them. Oh, dear Lord, we're putting harassment in the same category as harassment. What a weird scenario. Critics warn the policy could therefore mean jail sentences for somebody refusing to use a transgender person's preferred pronouns or referring to them by their former name or birth sex than their chosen gender. Again, there's more context required than that. There's more context required than that. Last night, a senior Tory source said, oh, okay, a Tory source. I'm definitely going to believe that one. Some police forces have shown themselves overzealous in the pursuit of supposed hate crimes, and this reform would send them a signal to go even further. Oh, dearie me, you say the police might have problems? What a strange world we live in. We've seen people arrested for misgendering, but this... Okay, so when were people arrested for misgendering? Let's take a look here. Arrest for misgendering UK. Because it's almost always... Like, here's one from 4 days ago. It's almost always overblown. So let's take a look here. UK man arrested for malicious communications after posting a meme mocking the transgender flag. Okay, so hardly a day goes by without some viral international incident reminding us why we're so lucky to have the First Amendment. Oh boy, we're beginning non-biased already, I see. All right, let's begin sucking America's dick. The latest such lunacy comes courtesy from the United Kingdom, where police just arrested a man for posting an allegedly offensive tweet. Yes, seriously. As shown in the viral video, Hampshire officers on Thursday confronted and arrested a UK man. One of the officers says someone has been caused anxiety based on your social media post, and that is why you're being arrested. Let's see here. Not a host. The Hampshire police indeed arrested a guy because he posted a meme of a trans flag shaped like a swastika. Wait, so hold on. That's going a bit further than a meme, though. That's going just a little itty bit further. That's you literally going, hey, this person's a Nazi. I wonder what we do to Nazis. That's a little bit more than just posting a fucking meme, right? Like, I grew up in an age where a meme was posting Vegeta yelling over 9,000. This is a bit more than that. If your reaction is, but that speech is noxious, then you failed. No. No, if you are sitting there saying somebody is of a group of people that we should probably be killing, that's probably a bad thing. And I know there's going to be somebody in the chat who's just like, but Suris, you call everyone a Nazi. First of all, I don't. Go ahead. Go look through my entire catalog of videos, making me lots of money in the process. It's not really. It's going to be like $15, maybe. And that's going through every video I've ever made. It's not going to be that much money. YouTube doesn't pay shit. But go ahead and go through my back catalog and find when I've called somebody a Nazi, and typically you'll find that I'll say, hey, this is Nazi rhetoric that is used, where I'm pointing to literally this is rhetoric that was used as well during the times of Nuremberg. Or I'll say, hey, somebody like Richard Spencer is a Nazi, which is a true statement. Nicholas J. Fuentes is a Nazi, which is a true statement. So let's see here. What else do we have here? The post in question was reportedly an image mocking the many evolutions of the LGBTQ transgender flag by reshaping it into a swastika. Okay. Again, that's... So, you have to remember, police, in an ideal world, police respond to situations as they happen, as opposed to, you know, after they happen, where the murder's already happened, right? So my question would be, if you think that trans people are Nazis and you are posting that, the question would be why? Like, and why would you be doing that? And again, it feels like there's a little context probably missing here. This rather alarming graphic from the Hampshire government explains what malicious communication is. The graphic notes that malicious communication relates to the sending of indecent, offensive, or threatening letters, electronic communication, or articles with the intent to cause the recipient distress or anxiety, and that it is a criminal offense which could result in prosecution and a criminal record. Okay, that seems reasonable. Like, if I'm deliberately harassing a person, like, what business is it of mine to be harassing that person? The backlash to this act of censorship has been swift and severe. Hampshire police has condemned her own officers' actions. I'm concerned about both the proportionality and necessity of the police's response to the incident. When incidents on social media receive 2 visits from police officers, but burglaries and non-domestic break-ins don't always get a police response, something's wrong. What? Okay, hold on. No, that's not... Okay, that's stupid. Let's go ahead and talk about why this is stupid, okay? This is stupid because if somebody is trying to compare a single incident of following up on an online harassment thing, as somebody who has had my life threatened by somebody online and has had to buy a gun and reported a person to the FBI for it, thanks, call for an uprising, you piece of human garbage. As somebody who's gone through that and never received a follow-up on that, when you are in this particular situation, you are asking me to look at a singular instance of the police following up on something and then going, compared to all of the instances where burglaries aren't followed up on. Now, hold on a fucking minute. Hold on a second. Why are we comparing one instance of a thing, one anecdote, to an entire data set? That doesn't seem right. Would it maybe be better for us to compare the entirety of amounts of times that people have posted to the police about online harassment and how few times the police follow up on that, to the amount of times where burglaries and non-domestic break-ins happen and police have responded to that more often? I feel like that would be a fair thing to do, but no. People are motivated by stupid. I'm just going to say, people are motivated by stupid. People hear this statement and go, oh yeah, that's pretty reasonable. No, it's not. It's not reasonable to point out a single instance of something and then point out an entire data set of something and then compare the two things, because they are not in scope of one another. It's a scope error. This is a basic logical fallacy. You've done a fallacy of scope. For you to compare like to like, we need to have all of the instances of online harassment and how often the police respond to that, and then all instances of domestic harassment and how often the police respond to that. If we cannot take both of these things and compare the two, then we are not actually comparing like to like, and it doesn't matter anymore. But that doesn't work for rhetoric. If I just want to convince somebody that my statement is true, I can use bullshit rhetoric like this from fee stories. Yeah, I wonder, fee stories, media, bias, Fact check. I wonder. Foundation for Economic Education. I wonder here. Well, while we do seem to have a mostly factual rate of reporting, we do seem to have a right-leaning bias. Wow, who could have thunk it? However, if we go to the original area that we had issues with, let's search Daily Mail. Do we have any biases here? God, gee, I wonder. Is it a UK publication? No, the Foundation for Economic Education is American. Daily Mail. Oh, would you look at that? Right-leaning, very, very right-leaning bias, and also very, very low rate of credibility. Boy, howdy. That's wonderful. I love the Daily Mail so much. God, can you imagine? We're only like a minute into the guy's video because we decided to go back and actually look at the stuff he's talking about. That's so strange. That's so strange. Anywho, let's take a listen to the
well
rest.
founded. The UK's increasingly alarming experiment in woke state censorship has shown us that policing hate often just means policing thoughts and...
Okay, so policing hate just means policing thoughts. My guy, you're allowed to think whatever the fuck you want. You don't have an Elon Musk brain chip in you letting you know what you can and can't do. Like, no. Oi, oi, oi. Said even Paul McCartney in 1966 knew the Daily Mail was a joke. Yeah, it's kind of a rag. It's kind of sort of a rag. Anywho. What is going on in chat over on YouTube's end? It looks like there's a thing going on there. Let's see here. I want cops to be allowed to arrest people who try and camp on my property. I want to be able to walk into a Fred Meyer's and not have glass doors over every other aisle. You know, I went to a Fred Meyer's when I got sake out of Alaska, and I didn't see that thing you mentioned. But, okay. Anyways, that sounds like hyperbole. And you know what you do with hyperbole? You basically fucking ignore it.
speech. Indeed, even under existing legislation, Brits have already been hauled through the courts for quote-unquote misgendering trans people, for referring to them using pronouns that match their sex, rather than the gender they believe themselves to be.
Okay, so I want you to catch the language there. Quote-unquote misgendering. Why does it have to be quote-unquote misgendering? Also, how's it going, Baba Ali? How you doing? You're in a red state, dude. You won't see that? Uh-huh. You know I've been to blue states too, right? You also understand that it has nothing to do with the color of the state. It would have to do with the crime rates in individual cities, right? You're aware of that, right? At least I hope so. Like, that'd be really weird not to understand that the politics of a state don't discern whether or not an individual grocery chain chooses to lock up every other aisle. Also, I'm fairly certain it's not every other aisle either. Also, we have shoplifting here. Anyways. So the gender they believe themselves to be, so the guy's admitting he only believes himself to be cis. Yeah, the language there is very, very loaded. It's very loaded. Quote-unquote misgendering, the gender they believe themselves to be. My guy, you are not in a person's head. You don't actually have that kind of knowledge about what's going on in their brain. I admit that when I go out on the street, if somebody tells me that, oh, by the way, they're she, her, or he, him, or whatever, I could say, no, you don't really believe that. I could do that to a lot of people. You know why I don't? Because I'm not in their fucking brain. I'm not arrogant enough to think that I know what they're talking about. But okay. Oh, boy. It's seeming like we have a person in YouTube chat who spends a lot of time looking at content about politics and not going out and rolling around in the finely mowed grass. Go touch grass. It's a good idea. It lets you be good with, it lets you have a good grip on reality. A lot of people who consume political content don't tend to do that. Your example is from Portland, Oregon, Sumi. Ah, Portland, Oregon. So we're taking a very, very dense city, which will naturally have a higher crime rate because it is a dense city, much like Atlanta is a dense city, which will naturally have a higher crime rate because it is a population dense city. My guy, how do you not understand that if there is a mean amount of crime that people do when they are under fortune, and you put more people in a geographical location, the amount of crime goes up because there are more people committing them? That's so strange. That's a weird thing to forget. Also, I've been to Portland, Oregon too. Interesting. It had lower crime pre-George Floyd because police could do more than they can do now. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Sure thing, buddy. Sure thing. Let's take a look here. Crime rates in Portland, Oregon. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. Ba ba da ba ba, ba da ba 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 ba, ba 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 ba, da 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 da, da da da. God, that's so fucking funny. That's the first thing that came up when I just tried to look up crime rates. Very first fucking thing. Oh God. Oh God, my sides. I don't have the crayons or the slurs, my guy. Anyway. Now that you're done being wrong, let's continue on with the video.
In 2020, Kate Scotto, a radical feminist, was convicted of causing annoyance, inconvenience, or needless anxiety under the Communications Act after she referred to a male who identifies as female as he on social media. Scotto was arrested at her home, in front of her children, and claimed she was kept in a police cell for 7 hours. In 2022, a Christian...
So she was... so she was kept in a police cell for 7 hours. Let's take a look here. So what was her name?
They believe themselves to be. In 2020, Kate Scotto, a radical feminist...
Kate Scotto. All right, so we have a name. Now we do the thing. Kate Scotto, trans. Let's take a look here. What an interesting scenario. When you say the name, we can fact check you, and it's great. Let's take a look here. Trans woman wishes Twitter troll Kate Scotto all the best after guilty verdict is handed down in landmark case. Oh, interesting. Stephanie Hayden, a trans woman who was called a racist and a pig in a wig during a campaign of online abuse. Whoa, hold on. That's a little different. Oh my God, the language is so different. That's so strange. Gee, I wonder why that is. Huh, okay, let's take a look at this article. Kate Scotto was found guilty of persistently making use of a public communication network to cause annoyance or inconvenience. Okay, so do you like how he omitted that? The persistently part, which changes it from insulting someone to harassment? Do you like how that happened? God, isn't that wonderful? How they always omit really important information? God, it's so fucking funny. Yeah, he misrepresented the nature of the offense. I'm shocked, I tell you. I'm shocked. M. Differs, thank you for redeeming your points for an you fucking degen. Let's see here. She told the court on the first day of trial there were a number of tweets which were not only targeting me, they were targeting other people who were either transgender or were perceived to be supportive of transgender people. When I observed the tweets that the defendant was referring to me and the defendant was referring to me with male pronouns. This is the problem with these people. This is just done to annoy people like me. It's calculated to violate, in my case, my dignity as a woman. It is basically calculated to, excuse my language, madam, piss us off. It is unnecessary, and it's just harassment. Scotto was given a 2-year conditional discharge in order to pay 1,000 prosecution costs and a 21 euro victim surcharge, or 21 pound victim surcharge. Protesters holding anti-trans banners gathered around the magistrate's court during the hearing. Yep, absolutely. Hayden released a statement after the guilty verdict saying, "Today there are no winners. While I am satisfied with the outcome of the criminal prosecution, the fact remains that it should not have been necessary to ever complain to the police in the first place. Abusing and smearing transgender people online must stop. The media-led obsession and campaign of hate is encouraging people like Catherine Scotto to think they can target transgender people with online impunity. Today's verdict demonstrates that such conduct and consequences are potentially life-changing. I now wish to move on. With this in mind, I wish Mrs. Scotto the best for the future and hope that she will learn from this experience." Okay, so let's see here. We have, from looking over this, by just going from one bias source to the other side, we can see that actually the issue was not simply misgendering. The issue was persistent, which means harassment. What a strange, interesting.
Was convicted of causing annoyance who identifies as female as he on social media. Scotto was arrested at her home in front of her children and claimed she was kept in a police cell for 7 hours. In 2022, a Christian preacher called David McConnell was found guilty of harassment after he referred to a trans person as a man and a gentleman on the streets of Leeds.
All right, so this one, what was his name?
Person as a man, a preacher called David McConnell was found...
David McConnell, huh? Let's take a look at this one. Let's take a look at this one. We can do it once more. Christian preacher guilty of harassing trans women has convictions quashed, citing free speech. Okay. Oh, so he actually got out scot-free anyway. So what the fuck was the problem? A Christian street preacher who was found guilty of harassing a trans woman has had his conviction overturned. Street preacher David McConnell was found guilty of the distressing attack on Farah Mooner in September after he reportedly called her a man and a gentleman on the street, an incident which she said made her feel emotionally distraught. After the incident, McConnell from Wakefield, West Yorkshire, was given a 12-month community order with 80 hours of unpaid work for causing harassment, alarm, or distress. McConnell's conviction was quashed on the Leeds Magistrate Court after an appeal hearing last week when it was found that although the preacher had caused harassment and distress, there was no evidence that he had intended to do so. Oh, interesting. Interesting. So you're telling me that in an instance where it was not actually harassment and the courts did not find it to be so, everything was dropped and nothing actually happened and he didn't actually go and get in trouble for the thing? And yet it's still an example in your video? That's so weird. So in the instance where it was found to be harassment, then the ruling was harassment, and the person was punished for it. And then in the one where it wasn't harassment, the person wasn't punished for it, and then they weren't punished, and you still used them in the video. I feel like you're just grabbing anybody you can and just hoping that your audience never fact checks you at all. That's what it seems like to me. And he decided to leave that out of the video.
Guilty of harassment after he referred to a trans person as a man and a gentleman on the streets of Leeds. In 2021...
Oh, so you just move on to the next one. You just said the found guilty, but you completely omit the part where the dude had the sentence completely overturned. He was found guilty, and then afterwards, as soon as they realized, oh, you didn't actually intend anything with that. Oh, never mind. You're free to go. What a weird scenario. Do we even have to continue the video? Richard Dawkins, my guy. I don't think we have to continue your fucking video. I think once we have found that somebody has lied twice in a video, we don't have to go any further. I don't think we have to go any further. All this because I thought another YouTuber and Suris would have an interesting conversation about the same topic I brought up. No, I don't talk with other YouTubers that much anymore about anything, really. One, my memory issues make it to where any of those talks that you want, they actually would just end up being debates. That's what people tend to want when they want, oh, I just want these two YouTubers to talk. No, most of the time it's a debate. Most of the time it's somebody wanting a debate. I don't do that anymore because of my memory issues. But I think now that we have found that there have been 2 lies posted through here, and they've been very easy, like ridiculously easy to just look up and go, oh, You didn't give actual context on what happened. That's so weird. That's so strange. We don't have to go much further. We've done it. Debate, talk, whatever I thought would be interesting, and that's entirely fair, but I'm not doing it for the same reasons that I said. I will collaborate with people from time to time. Like, I collaborate with Vice Rhino all the time. I've got a collaboration with GE that's coming up. It's just a Magic the Gathering game on the Magic channel. That's all that one is. Like, I've got collaborations that I want to do, but the conflict thing I'm done doing. I'm done. I am now in the process of just pulling up, hey, you were wrong about the thing, and now we carry on, so I can go play Fortnite. That's what I do now. You went on Demon Mamas once recently? Right, because that was a conversation. But when it's, hey, let's go ahead and just have a random YouTuber, whoever it happens to be, I can't have that same level of understanding. I can't. Next, I don't think you ever covered AJW. Yeah, I don't know who AJW is, like, at all. But said, I will miss Suris talking about topics, but Fortnite is infinitely less toxic than politics. And I'm still talking about topics. Like, I still do it. I just also have a lower barometer for how much of it I can stomach before I'm just... blech. Actual Justice Warrior? Oh, I've heard of him. I don't know anything about him, but my initial reaction is a negative one because I don't know. There's some vibes there. I feel like I've heard that name in some other circles, in some other conversations, and never in any way that's positive. So, should we need to end the video? No, not until we get a victory. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Thank you guys for watching. Hit the like button if you haven't already, and as always, everyone, insert end of video tagline here. Hey, I just quickly want to give a thank you to all of my wonderful patrons who keep this show running. YouTube and Twitch are a pretty bumpy ride at the best of times, and the stability a Patreon provides me is worth more than I can say here. I'd also like to thank each and every one of my $20 and up patrons here, and they would be Red Joker, Britzkrieg, Cameron, Dren, Jemshin, Smiling DM, Poundini, Mabbity Babbity, Naomi, Isaac, Nixie-chan, the Oberon team, Agamotto, Jordan, Ravi, Giuni, Kiratorian, Prisma, all of you, I'm not saying that part, and Starlight. And finally, thank you to everyone else that helps keep this channel alive. While you're here, why not check out another video? And thank you for watching.